You've tuned in to the Top 10 Garden Show with garden expert Ken Lain. Join the conversation daily as he answers timely garden questions. Email Ken a question directly from your phone to his desktop through the web at watersgardencenter.com. That's Waters with 2 T's, gardencenter.com. Or visit face-to-face throughout the week where he can be found at Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Now welcome your host, Ken Lain.
So I thought I would cover, just because spring is here, we're seeing things in bloom. I'm getting questions at the garden classes here at the garden center. My daffodils are up. My tulips are starting to show up. I planted some broccoli. I've got my ornamental trees are blooming now. Should I protect them? Should I cover them? What should I cover them with? How often should I cover them? Now, the easy answer is don't worry about it. Spring plants know how to protect themselves, and they open up when they know that spring is here and they're not going to be damaged. So daffodils have a lot of antifreeze in them. They're going to bloom and they're going to be just fine. Even if there's it's 27 degrees, they're fine. Your lilacs, when they bloom, they're fine. What's in bloom now? Purple leaf plums. Usually they're blooming. They're kind of temperature related day parts. They go by day. How long is the day and how cold is the evening temperature? And they do a calculation. They're pretty smart. They kind of go, I think it's time. Let's do this. Boom. And they start opening up. And so they should be fine on their own. Fruit trees that's where it gets tricky. So your fruit trees, they should not be in bloom right now. If you got the right variety, there's some with how do I explain this in 3 minutes or less? There are chilling hours associated with fruit trees. And so we're bringing in here, at least at Waters Garden Center, we're bringing in varieties that have proven themselves to produce fruit more consistently than others. So we're curating that for our gardeners that shop here. And we're looking for varieties that have a large number of chilling hours. So apples typically have 900 to 1200 chilling hours. It needs to be below freezing, at least 1,000 hours before it blooms. That's its program. It goes by its counting. It's got a ticker. It goes, okay, let's see. Tonight I was freezing at least 5 hours. Okay, there we go. Check the box. Your pears will be similar, about 900 to 1,200 hours. It needs to be below freezing before it hits a trigger and goes, I'm going to bloom. Then it would be your peaches and cherries. They kind of need, I don't know, they don't go to 1,200. If they did, we bring them in. But generally, they're going to bloom a little bit earlier. So they're going to be anywhere from 700 to 900 chilling hours before they start to open up. Your desert varieties, they might only need 200 chilling hours. Of course, the deserts don't get cold very long. And so they want them to bloom real early so that they can get them produced. They can produce fruit and harvest before the heat of summer. Totally opposite from what we do up here in the mountains. Here we want them to bloom as late as possible so we get out of that risk of frost. And if they are in bloom, if we're getting a frost, then you need to cover them or protect them. That's for fruit trees. That's not for lilacs. That's not for spring blooming quince. That's not for redbuds and purple leaf plums. And these things, they don't mind some cold. They have more antifreeze in them naturally, so they can protect themselves naturally. So I wouldn't worry about most of the things that are in bloom right now because they're fine, unless you've got a desert variety of fruit or a citrus plant. Citrus does not grow up here outside in the yard because they bloom way too early, and then they have very little frost protection built into them. They don't have antifreeze. They'll go down to about mid-20s and then they just get vaporized. No, of your desert blooming, your desert cacti, they've got zero antifreeze in them. You look at them cold and they turn to black mush and fall over. So, but the things that are blooming now that I've seen around town, your forsythia are in bloom. They love it. They'll bloom actually longer if they're actually getting a touch of frost and cold. They'll keep that flower longer. So I wouldn't worry too much. A lot of folks that are maybe new to the area, they're from the desert areas or Southern California, more tropical Hawaii areas, they're all worried because it's below 50 degrees. What should I do for my plants? Nothing. Leave them alone. They're fine. They're used to this. If you planted the right plant, you'll be fine. Same with your flowering heath or heathers. These are perennials, evergreen perennials. They've been in bloom. They're perfectly fine. They're happy when it's cold out. Rhododendrons, azaleas, they're great. They love that. It's fine. Leave them alone. The buds are not going to be damaged. Typically, if the buds are still tight, they're still protected, they've got this outer skin over or shell over the flower, they're not at risk of being damaged. Rarely. It's when they start to open, that's when some things can be exposed, and it's going to be mainly your fruit trees. And so the varieties, I would say, do your homework on your varieties, or know where you're buying your fruit trees from. If you're going to commit to that, you'll want to make sure you plant it right, because it'll be 5 years in, you're going, my fruit tree never blooms, and I don't know why. Because it bloomed too early, got exposed to frost. It's a desert variety. It's the wrong variety. And now you got a 5-year invested in this thing, and it's never going to produce fruit. That's a hard choice. So you kind of want to do a little more homework on those. Whereas lilacs, lilac's a lilac, pretty much. There's different sizes. I want head high, I want giant, head high, chest high, or hip high. Pick the size you want, and then pick the color you want. I really like there's a new one called Grandma's Lilac. It's a real bright purple. It's a big lilac. It's beautiful. Oh my gosh. Anyway, that's it for this segment. Don't worry too much about plants. They can protect themselves out in the yard, even if it's frosty. Waters continues our 60th spring celebration.
We're excited to invite you to Waters Garden Center's 60th Spring Open House.
Last week was so fun, we decided to keep on celebrating.
We have even more spring plants to show off, drawings, and more.
There's giveaways, access to local plant experts, and hot dogs on the grill.
Join the fun at Waters Garden Center's 60th Spring Open House all week long.
The Top 10 Gardener, your source for timely garden advice, seasonally correct for the garden. Guaranteed to make a difference in your yard this season.